welcome to another episode of the Sit Rep Podcast. Special episode today, run by yours truly, Marty. Uh, we have joining us live and, I was going to say in studio, but no, we're all remote. Uh, Chris and Jim. So, we got some folks class it up. And our fearless leader is on the road today. So we hope that
And his
both,
boss.
yeah. We hope that both Bill and Don will be able to join us from the road. If not, sorry, you're stuck with us. Here we go. All right. So let's start
Word,
off.
word, word, word to the wise. Marty did say it was a special episode, so interpret that as you will.
That's right.
Hey, welcome,
Tough,
tough ears.
tough ears in early. Gotta love that. Welcome to the show. So let's just take a minute to go around the horn and talk about what we've done for a hobby. So Chris, if you want to start it off, what have you been up to lately?
Acquiring some rule books, and I haven't been really hobbying much, but I mean, if you want to call it collecting, um, some Star Wars.
Oh, look at you.
So, version 2 is coming out right around Adepticon time. I can pre-order it. I think you get the PDF in a couple of weeks. But the version 1 books, the source books, all work. So it's not like second edition is going to make any big changes. It's just streamlining the rules, and so it's like a 1.5.
So which Star Wars game exactly are we talking about
We're
here
talking
for our
about Star
audience?
Wars Adventures.
Gotcha. So
So
that's the
it's an
so,
RPG by
I was gonna say
Modifius.
that's the RPG version of all of this stuff.
Yep.
So
What's nice is if you go to Modifius, their first edition books are half off.
oh
But when
nice.
you buy the book, you get the PDF. And if you buy the PDF by itself, like Alpha Quadrant, one of the campaign books, the PDF is I don't know, like $20. But if you half off, it's $30. So you get the book and the PDF, or the book is basically $10. And they're great books. I mean, they're solid and very nice.
Well,
Yeah,
good deal.
played some D&D. Been watching the reviews on the new D&D rulebook coming out, and we can talk about that later.
Gotcha.
Is that still
Gotcha.
5th edition, or they started a new edition?
It's people are calling it 5.5.
Okay.
Or I've seen a couple of people put 5.24 because they're calling it the rule 2024 rules.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a new edition, really.
They're
I mean,
changing some big things. And again, well, we could talk about that in a bit.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, Mr. James. I am sure that I know some of the stuff that you've been working on. So share with us what you've been doing in the past few weeks.
Well, very happy to say that we have completed our Saipan content. That was a lot of fun. Not so much for the Marines on the first couple turns. Historically, they took per capita heavier losses than the Army took at Omaha, so you can imagine what that was like. Picture Saving Private Ryan squared. That was the historical result. I think our game result was actually even a little bit worse than that. 75% losses among the LVT2s, and I think like 72 out of 120 Marine figures knocked down just coming out of the water mostly. But once the Marines get ashore and get a little bit of momentum, they become basically unstoppable. I mean, 13-man squads, bazookas, flamethrowers, Bangalore torpedoes, 30 caliber machine guns, 12-gauge shotguns, BARs, like 3 BARs per squad. You're not stopping that with that little
Yeah,
Horiska, Type 97 bolt action rifle.
warms the cockles of my heart to hear that.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah. So and again, I mean, the Japanese player knew that. Who is with us, by the way? Devin Starr actually played the Japanese in that game. Welcome, Devin.
Oh, hey.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of told up front, like you're gonna get tabled. It's the Pacific.
Yeah,
The Japanese literally always get wiped out. Um, once you get past like March of 42, they lose every land engagement they were ever in. It's just how much they can cost and how much time they can use. So that's all up on our channel. Check it out if you like. Got a bunch more minis. Got a little bit of an earlier Bundeswehr force, so a lot of martyred ones, a lot of leopard ones. I'm probably some of those. Oh God, I'm gonna get the name wrong. Like YCR 165s. I know I just got that wrong. They're the Dutch APCs. They're like the Dutch M113. You see a lot of them in Ukraine. Although I did just get the name wrong, I'm sure. Y something. But long story short, take your first shot. Yeah, a lot of like 1970s NATO armor that I'm going to probably not paint in West German markings and colors. Probably just go straight to Ukraine. I'm building up our Ukraine force, and yeah, pretty much getting ready to run some more Ukraine tables. Later on this month, we're going to be doing some Desert Storm down at the club. We're going to be doing one of the U.S. Marine breakthroughs, the berm along El Jabber, that El Jabber sort of gap, that airbase down there they had to go through on their way to Kuwait International Airport. So yeah, a lot in the works. Yeah, more updates to come.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I look forward to seeing your battle here. That's an interesting one. So
yeah, later today, about 2:00. So in about 3.5 hours, I got 2 players lined up for some virtual long distance Panzer leader. One guy up in Ohio, one guy over in Derby, England. So that'll be fun. Running that, we're going to record the highlights. We're not going to stream it live because those, you guys remember, those turn into like 4 and 5 hour streams. Definitely kept the game much smaller this time. The available forces are pictured up in Discord, so you guys can see, like, wow. Namer Ariskany always says he's going to have, a small game of Panzer Leader. Next thing you know, you've got a brigade on the table. This time he kept it small, like you're supposed to. So it won't be that long.
I was going to say, brigade is small for you.
Yeah.
I mean, last show we talked about, what scale you want to play in, right? You like being the supreme allied commander. That's kind of your gig.
If I'm not at least a full bird, you're wasting my time.
Yeah, I mean, I like getting down into the tactical level where it's more of a skirmish one-on-one type of deal. But yeah, because
you like
we've had this discussion several times over the years.
Yeah, you like that fuzzy target over clear tip of the front side post.
Yeah, well, and so for me,
it's not fuzzy target anymore. It's red dot.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, it turns out it's pretty.
I just gave away my age on that one, guys.
But it relates to my own experience, and I kind of like that, and I know that you like. Nope, I'm king of the world, bro. I'm gonna run all this.
Yeah, I mean we can probably talk about that later when we're talking about like what part of the hobby you like best. I mean, like skirmish tactical or like level 1 tactical, where a figure is like one piece, or like a figure is one guy and so on. Yep. There's definitely an appeal to that. But especially once you get into moderns, I mean, this is a small Panzer Leader map that we're doing, and it's just over 4 kilometers wide, and it's like about as small as you can get to encompass these. Number one, some of the engagement ranges, some of the combined arms tactics, stuff like that. I mean, tactical is great, but a lot of times if you're in a larger game, half your stuff is now off the board between helicopters, airstrikes, mortars, artillery. Yeah, everything's half your guys are off, half your assets are off the board, and they're probably your bigger ones. So anyway,
true that.
Yeah. So anyway, later today we're going to be doing some Panzer Leader Ukraine. We've done hypothetical Ukraine back before the balloon really went up over there in February of 22. This is going to be, we did Air War C-21 once. We actually did like one of the recorded dogfights that took place over there in the first week of the war. We're definitely sticking with the first couple weeks of the war to keep it as long a distance as possible. But yeah, we're a modern wargaming channel. We're going to go ahead and wade into this. We're doing some miniature Ukraine in August, and we're doing Panzer Leader tabletop Panzer Leader also in Ukraine later on today. So keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely. Sounds good. All right. So as I was talking to the boys before the show, I work like 75 hours this week. It's been a long week. I have not done anything. However, I've had a pretty good hobby week overall. So, and part of this, my first one, I'm gonna set up because I don't know if Chris is aware of it or not. We like a year ago backed CMON Volume 2 comics, and they arrived Thursday. So I am picking them up later today. So we get the book and our 8 new Dust figures. So super excited about that. I'll be picking those up later today after the show.
It was so long ago that the spot I had is full of dust.
Well, now you can put new Dust in there.
Yeah.
See what I did there? All right, so we got
I
that.
set you up.
Yeah, and I swung for the fence, brother. Jen, good to see you. Dennis, I'm sorry we didn't say hi to you. Good, thanks for joining us on the show.
Yep.
So we had that. We've got that in. We got our Dust 1947 CMON graphic novel, and it's got 8 miniatures that come with it as well.
Yep.
Also,
and you've got a small pickup to do this weekend, don't you?
I'll get to that in a minute. Hold on. I have more, brother. So you remember last show, I had said that I had ordered Saga books, and my Saga books arrived this week. So now I have the core manual or the core rule book and the Age of Vikings manual.
Okay.
Super excited about that.
I got mine up there.
Now, I believe that Tough Years has talked about it already. So, when saying Happy Rat Day, yes, for those of you who are AOS players, today's the day. So they have released Skaven Tide AOS Edition 4, and those box sets are out. So,
no, they're gone.
Yeah. No, when I say out, I mean out. Yeah, but
out in both senses of the word.
Yeah,
they're both out and as in released, and out as in out of stock.
and I'll be picking mine up later today because
nice.
I did a pre-order, so I split that with one of the guys. What's funny is I'm on the way home from work last night. I've got like an hour and a half ride, and we're we got notification that it's coming in, and we're like, hey, we never discussed exactly how we want to split this setup. So after a little bit of texting back and forth with our buddy Jason, I'm like, bro,
not while you were driving, of course.
Voice to text, but that's why I'm like, bro, I gotta call you. I can't do this.
It's time to renegotiate.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, what about the
core books?
Nope, the other one, the little game. Why am I drawing a blank on it?
Because you're old.
Yeah, it is. The one with the board and its own little set of rules, where you I keep wanting to call it Vanguard. It's not Vanguard. That's the old ones. Anywho,
that one.
Yeah. So I am sure that Tough Years will jump in and tap me on the forward assist on this. But there's 2 sets of rules that come with it. So you've got the regular AOS 4th edition rules, and then you've got their little beginner game that they play on a board. So we're trying to figure out how to divvy that up. And by the way, Jason, Spearhead, thank you. Oh God, my brain was smoked.
Yeah.
Oh, Tough Years for the win. Good job.
Yeah.
I told you it's been a long week for me, and most of this was outside, and it has been hot. so if I seem like I'm discombobulated, it's because I'm discombobulated.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how to divvy that stuff up. So we have reached an agreement, and then I'm gonna swing by our buddy's house that put in the pre-order for everybody and go get that. So I'm super excited. So while I didn't get to physically do any hobby this week, I did get some hobby stuff. So I'm pretty jazzed about that.
You reloaded the pile of gray.
Oh man, yeah. Well, God knows. I mean, that's just clan rats that are waiting to get painted, not including the ones that are over here that I was already painting, and now I'm gonna get 70 more.
Oh, hey, hold on a second. Look at what Devin wrote.
Here you go. Or Devin. Yeah, for guys who may not be familiar, Devin is one of the guys from South Florida Miniatures Gaming Club down here at Dawes Creek House, and yeah, he has a pretty serious painting Facebook page, if memory serves. Absolutely, like one of those painters that you normally see in like magazines and stuff. He runs like painting tutorials down at the club. Yeah,
Well,
definitely tier one operator as far as that goes.
Yeah, one of
well,
those people who makes you want to hang up your paintbrush.
oh, see, not my first question is what's the page? Is it his name? Is it under? Does he have a company name or just a tag?
I'm sure Devin can probably put
Devin,
it in the.
Hopefully, Devin will put it in there.
yeah, share with the
But
group because I would be quite interested.
he also, like pretty well connected in the community, and like at least here in the States.
I mean,
Cool.
I
A
used
lot
to
of these
board
guys
game with
are.
the guys who wrote Spearhead. Yeah, I'd say you're kind of
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like it.
I know a guy.
But yeah, I'm usually a guy that used to borderline pride myself on not having much of a gray mountain, not having much of a pile of shame. But every time I go to the club, I wind up coming back with more stuff, and it's getting out of hand. I'm gonna have to like take a couple weeks off and just assault Lead Mountain again.
Yeah,
See if
how
I can
about
cook
it?
it down a little.
All right,
Last week I basically walked home with a whole new Bundeswehr army. Like I was saying, I gotta paint those guys now.
Right.
Actually, cooking it down might be a way of doing it.
Yeah, that's.
So Devin, miniature painting noobs. Is that on? Is that a Facebook page? Is Instagram? What platform are we on?
Last I heard, it was Facebook, but I can quickly check. Do a search on that and see if we come up with anything.
Because I'm down. I'll love following that stuff. And and if it turns out he does like tutorials and stuff, and I can learn something, woohoo! Facebook. All right. Thanks, Devin. All right. Good deal. Note to self.
Yep.
Miniature painting noobs.
Yep. Now,
Noobs.
ooh, cool.
Oh yeah, 73,000 members. Like I said, he's.
Woo! He's serious. Gotta love that.
And
he's got
earlier,
this-
Jen had a couple comments.
Oh,
Yeah.
when does she not? No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, tread lightly, my friend.
That's fine.
That's-
Yeah,
that's-
you're gonna be playing Warfare a lot sooner than this afternoon.
There you go. We're
might
doing
not
some
have-
one-to-one scale at this rate.
I was gonna say you're gonna get the ultimate skirmish game. Why do you have a machete? Oh yeah, good deal,
Yeah,
good
she
deal.
comes in with a skillet. I cast iron. Ding.
Dang. All right, well, that's all fine, well, and good. So it sounds like we've got a lot of stuff going on. And it's great to hear that we've got some. Hi, Jen.
There you go.
Sounds like we got some good folks in the chat as well that are engaged. And Dennis, I like your attitude on that. It's
Yep.
not a pile of shame. It's stocking up for the retirement years. that's one way of putting it. So the problem is when the pile of shame gets big enough that when I pass, they use it to fill my grave. Yeah. I definitely have some work to do because I have like an entire Skaven army. Plus, I just bought
A Skaven army.
Skaven army. plus,
Okay, I'm
plus,
not that bad.
plus, I've got my Saga dudes that I bought at Adepticon. I haven't done anything with them because I'm like,
Yep, same
I
here.
don't even have the rules. Well, now I got the rules. Now I feel motivated. I also have some NXS, some Blackout. What else I got laying over there? I still have a bunch of my Stormcast stuff for AOS
Yep.
to paint and or repaint because I bought a bunch of it used, and I got a really good deal on it, and the paint job that it came with reflects why. So
It's still better than mine.
there's no shortage of work to be done. So hopefully things will slow down a little bit for me so I can start getting into it. Devin, that's what we hear is that Saga is fun. So it turns out when we were at Adepticon, we were set up right next to Sherwood Games. And the nicest folks, we love hanging out with them. We've been by them 2 years in a row now. And shout out to them because I'm
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
sure I got the friends and family deal on that. It took them 3 days, but I finally pulled the trigger. Well, no, it took me 3 days of saying no because I went in there very interested. So, I got a bunch of gobos you're working on. Oh, old gobos. Very nice. Very nice. I kind of like that vibe, the aesthetic for the old ones. Not going to lie. White metal that you can't lick. Tough ears. That leads to the question of why are we licking our miniatures?
I've heard of licking your paintbrush.
You all
I
right?
was gonna say I'd probably drink about a gallon of paint per
Yeah.
army I paint. But
Fair enough. Yep. Oh, wait a minute. Who is in the waiting room?
uh-oh.
Let's see. Oh, come back here. Hold on. I'm new to this. Bill and Dawn coming up live.
Hello.
Morning.
Hello.
Hey, there we go.
Hello. Welcome to the show. You have perfect timing. We just got done kind of going through the three of us doing talking about our hobby stuff that we've done for the past couple of weeks and what we got coming up here shortly. So but why don't you lead us off with one, where the wild world of sports are you, and two, what you guys got going on?
We are coming to you live from an undisclosed location.
Ooh, Black Ops.
We can either confirm or deny.
Well,
That just
alrighty.
means you're lost.
So I was
No,
gonna
we're
say
not
the GPS
lost.
went out.
Yeah.
We are actually near the scene of a famous
Yep.
American Civil War battle.
Uh-oh.
We are near Lookout Mountain in Tennessee. Chattanooga area.
Very nice. Very nice.
We are heading to another famous battle area, the Seminole Indians, and then looking at modern warfare of some Russian ships passing by in the Straits of Florida between Cuba.
Gotcha.
Uh-oh.
Very nice.
So, otherwise, we're heading to the Keys.
I'll have to contact some of my submarines and see if I can't interdict some of that shit.
Yeah.
Give me a second. I have to talk to some people. Hold
Jim's
on.
like, hold on. Let me take care of your light work here. I got this. I got a guy. But 2 phone calls. This is done.
Russians are brave.
Uh,
Going down by the rednecks.
Do not confuse bravery with stupidity.
True.
saying.
True.
That's why they say never share a foxhole with somebody braver than you.
Yeah.
They can't control the Black Sea. What the hell are they doing coming down here to the Straits of Florida again?
Right?
They think it's safer. Wait till they hit Billy Bob. He's out fishing for just fishing with dynamite.
I mean, have they not seen what the redneck Navy can do? That's not even the Navy.
All right, y'all. That's got to be next week's game. A bunch of Everglades speedboats versus a Russian missile destroyer.
Yeah, too bad, Jim.
Except the Russian missiles on the Russian destroyer only work like you have to roll a 6 on a d6 for them to work that turn.
And the rednecks have unlimited ammo.
Yeah.
Ivan, you forgot to put fuel in the rockets again.
Nat 1 and it blows up on the boat instead of launching.
I used to so love the Soviet Navy back in the day, man. Their ships are trash, but they look so cool and they look deadly. But all their weapons are on the deck, and everything on there fires exactly once. They're not quite as powerful as they look. If you get into GDW Harpoon way back in the day, you really learn how these ships work. And very quickly in that game, you learn, you look at a sheet, like the first thing you want to look at on your ship is weapons. I want to see what weapons I have: bombs, missiles, torpedoes, blah, 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 blah. After your first game of Harpoon, you're like, where are my sensors? Never mind all the weapons. You can't use your weapons if you don't detect the guy. Where are my sensors and where are my helicopters? How many SH-60s do I carry?
Damon's comment, Ivan drank the fuel.
It happens. I mean, he's kidding, but not really. I mean, in
Kidding.
40th Combined Arms Army back in the 80s in Afghanistan, there are many documented cases where the tanks don't work because someone drank the brake fluid, or somebody
Damn.
drank the battery fluid. Yeah, they would drain it out. They would strain it through like bread and raisins and shit, leave it out in the sun, and they'd make like some kind of cockeyed,
Jailhouse hoot.
yeah, some kind of bathtub hooch or something.
Well, cockeyed, because that's what they ended up looking like afterwards.
Yeah. Especially when the tanks wouldn't operate, and then they started catching, Afghan RPGs.
Yeah, how about it? All right, so Bill and Dawn, any hobby news that you want to share?
Well, so last weekend, in observation of American Independence Day, I purchased Campaign 17. You know how hard it is to find a game based on the American Revolution outside of Jim's world? But I did find this one by WDS, War Game Design Studio, called Campaign 1776, and it's very basic hex encounter. It's nothing too fancy, but gets the job done. I played 3 campaigns with the idea that I was going to film them, because you can actually save the game as you play it, and it'll replay the movement and combat and whatnot. So I did the Battle of, well, they call Bunkers Hill, but we know it's Breeds Hill. And then I did Oriskany, in honor of a certain person on the
That's right.
I got my ass handed to me. That is a no-win situation.
Don't feel bad. I played that game. So I have that game. Back when I had it, it was HPS published. Maybe they sold it. But I recognize the logo. I know I have that exact game from way back in the day. It's an older computer game. It's down to like the company level. Like each piece is like 50 guys. Bill, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that's about right.
I've got that game. A company was maybe 50 men in those days. Oriskany is not good.
It's like, and this is going to sound weird me saying this, but it's like the modern day equivalent of when the Roman legions marched through the German forest and got their asses handed to them by the Germanic tribes.
There's a movie almost everyone has seen, Last of the Mohegans. It's a different war. It's the 7 Years' War / French and Indian War. But there's a scene in there where it almost the exact same thing happens to the British, and it's the wrong war. And you have to imagine American. It's not even Continental Regulars. It's Tyrone County Militia. You have to picture American militia instead of the British, but it's literally a massacre.
So needless to say, I did not get through to the fort, and barely
You're never going to do that.
a unit. Yeah, so that is like if you guys are Star Trek fans, the Kobayashi Maru test.
Per capita, it's still the bloodiest single history in American history. Our bloodiest single battle in American history.
No kidding. Wow.
And everyone in that battle is an American. There's not a British officer within 100 miles. Well, within 15 miles. There's British. Colonel Barry St. Ledger is trying to siege or lay siege to Fort Stanwix, the fort you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
But it's all American loyalists and Iroquois Confederacy of both sides. In fact, some sources I read, the word Oriskany in Iroquois, it's an Indian word, means the beginning of sorrowful things. Because it was one of the first times 2 different nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, there were 6 nations in there, actually wound up fighting each other. I think there were 30 Oneida Scouts with the Patriots, and they fought many, many more Mohawks, Seneca, Cayuga, some of the other pro-royalist tribes with the American loyalists, so pro-crown. Most of the Iroquois Confederacy fought for the crown. 2 tribes went with us. And they actually did shoot each other, and it's like the first big crack in what was eventually going to be the downfall of the Iroquois Confederacy when they started fighting each other.
Yeah.
Now, Oriskany does cause a couple things to happen. But actually, on the battlefield, if you're playing, Nicholas Herkimer is the American general there. Yeah, you're pretty much you're walking into a U-shaped ambush, and you're going to get hit on both sides. Native Americans are just going to come screaming out of the woods. That's after you get the shit shot out of you from pretty good. I mean, everyone talks about, oh, the Americans with their riflemen. Yeah, here's the problem. A lot of Americans fought for the crown too. So a lot of that hide behind the trees, skirmish tactics, guerrilla tactics, expert riflemen. A lot of those guys did fight for the crown too, especially in upstate New York. It's a nasty one.
Yeah. And then lastly, I played Kings Mountain, which I've actually had the privilege to be at the battlefield a few years back. I visited the battlefield, and I played it pretty close to historical, where I had all. So if anybody doesn't know about Kings Mountain, basically what happened is a few British generals and officers with their loyalist troops somehow pissed off the Americans, the rebellion, and a whole bunch of militia from far, far away traveled day and night to get to these guys, found them on this mountain. They snuck through the woods and circled them and just beat them to living hell. There's a accounting of one of the British officers, I can't remember which one, at the museum that states how the Americans came through the woods, like almost like the bullets weren't stopping them, and they literally hacked people to death. And it was a very bloody, vicious battle. So I played it very close to historical as far as I know it. And I even had my supply wagons because in this game, supplies is important.
Oh,
Because you will go low on ammo, and if you go low on ammo, your unit will not function properly. So yeah, I played the terrain, the hillside, brought my supply wagons up through the sides of the mountain through the forest, so you can only move one hex a turn. So, but I pretty much obliterated the British outside of a few units. But according to the scoring, it was a draw. I scored 188 points and needed 200 for a minor victory. I don't know how that's possible when I pretty much killed a lot of their dudes. But
you should have heard him yelling about it.
Bet.
What do you mean it's a draw?
yeah. The Trenton is like that a lot of times. Everyone's familiar with Trenton, Washington crossing the Delaware. It doesn't happen anything like it does in the painting, but we won't go into all the details. But Trenton,
hey, I like the painting, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I don't care if it's real.
He also likes the Patriot.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
In Trenton, I mean, I've played Trenton. I've either played or run Trenton in like 4 or 5 different systems, 7 or 8 times. I have yet to win with the Americans, or I've yet to even see the Americans win. They always win the battle, but they can never win the game because, I mean, the victory conditions are so wildly asymmetrical. The worst accounting, the most pessimistic accounting you can come up with for Trenton is 4 casualty or 4 dead. And even that is like, well, 3 of them died of frostbite on the way to the battle or the way back. Like literally 1 guy was killed and like 2 people were wounded in the actual shootout of the game, and you completely table an entire Hessian regiment, something like 1,200 people, 900 people, somewhere in there. The numbers vary. And it's like playing the Israelis in 1967 or the Germans in Russia in 41. You think you've got the better force. Oh, I'm going to table these fools. And you're going to table them. The problem is the victory conditions are so cockeyed that it becomes damn near impossible to win the game. Because to win the game, you have to match the historical results. And the results were an absolute curb stomp. So if you don't do a curb stomp +1, you're not going to win.
Yeah. So I did record it. I'm just trying to edit so it will be coming out shortly. And then I don't know if anybody saw my post. There will be a video series coming out. I ordered a display piece miniature, a 1/110th scale miniature of Captain Winters, Major Winters, from Band of Brothers. Obviously, it's based on Damian Lewis from the TV show. But it's one of those resin pieces that's, it's just his upper body and head, his arm point out. It's from, if you know the series, it's from when they do the Assault on the Guns. that's still taught at West Point today. So, yeah,
Breakcourt Manor.
Ray Court Manor. Thank you. So that was going to be one of those things where literally the first video is we open the box, we look at it, we clean it, we assemble it, and prime it. Okay, good. We'll be on to the next one. It's one of those,
Nice.
because this is meant to be a display piece, and I don't know. It might, if it comes out the way I want it to, might go to some painting competition somewhere in the world. So we'll have to see. But
Yeah.
I plan on, just quickly talking to some staffs is I'm going to take some other miniatures and test my paint schemes on them before I apply it to this to make sure that I got the shading right, the tones right, things like that. So
Yeah.
I'm
So we're
once
we're
I
gonna
go to
go
apply to
try
this
hard on this one.
display piece, I've already got the process down. Yeah, oh God, yeah. And I'm bringing out the Opus.
I was just gonna say, is this gonna be what
Oh,
does it?
Yes.
This
now
is the
we're
thing.
finally gonna use the brush set. All right. Hey, Chris, you hear that?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, Billy, oh, Billy, oh, Billy, oh, Billy, oh, Billy. I do want to. I'm sorry, Bill and Don. I do want to quickly point out that
No,
Dennis has a great point to be made.
go
The
for it.
definition of risky doesn't bode well for Jennifer.
Hey, she's had plenty of time to bail by now.
Yeah. I was gonna say
Plenty of time.
she ought to know what she's got herself into by now.
But
Right?
back at the at Kings Mountain, the British commander was Patrick Ferguson. For guys who are fans of Sharps rifles, he was the guy who sort of invented the rifle, or like that idea of a rifle muzzle-loading musket. Well, if it's a musket, it's not a rifle, but you guys know what I mean. For the British Army, it didn't really take. He was like a generation ahead of his time. Americans loved rifles, at least the civilian militias, not so much the actual Continental regulars. But he was the guy who should have killed George Washington at the Battle of Brandywine, America's first 9/11, September 11th, 1777, which I did in HBS, campaign 1776. Played the Continentals, and it was a terrible defeat for the Americans historically. It's what actually opened up the road to Philadelphia and wound up with the British taking our capital city. Should have won them the war, but it didn't because Americans decided to cheat and not play by the victory conditions.
Checks out.
Yeah, but yeah, by all accounts, this guy wrote in his diary, this is going to be later on the commander at Kings Mountain a couple years later. He's got an American general dead in his sights, and he's like 150 meters away, with which his weapon is like a chip shot. He's got him dead to rights. He pulls the trigger, and this guy's head just disappears off his shoulders. And he says, you know what? It just wouldn't be right to just literally snipe an enemy officer or whatever. So he doesn't do it. And historians have gone back. They know where Ferguson was. They know where Washington was. They look at the time and they kind of line it up. It's 95% certain that he had George Washington just
no kidding.
pull the trigger and just he's done. And when I'm playing HBS, I mean, I'm so into the battle. Brandywine's a big one. It's like 20 times a risk in New York Kings Mountain. It's one of the big ones. And it takes like, you know how long the games take, the turns take, especially in the big game, Bill. And I'm like 8 hours into this game. I'm like on turn 12, and I'm like, man, I'm beating the hell out of these guys. And I hit like the little status report just to see like how bad I'm winning by. And then I see like, Generals KIA, G. Washington. I'm like, oh no, there's somebody else on the $1 bill because I just killed George Washington. So apparently, Mr. Ferguson said, "The hell with that." He invented the Ferguson rifle. Was the point I was trying to make earlier? And then from that, it kind of gets adopted through the 1780s, 1790s. By the time you get to the Napoleonic Wars, you've got units like Sharps rifles in the 95th. It traces a line back to Ferguson, the guy who loses the Battle of Kings Mountain in 1780, and who could have killed Washington if he wanted to.
Wow.
The Brents with their sense of I don't know,
Honor, fair
about
play.
how to conduct warfare back then. You know.
Did you see the video I sent you guys? The little
In
video about the
Discord,
British
or
officer saying, no, I think I texted it, didn't I? Or Facebook, I don't remember. But there's a video of a British officer yelling at the Americans about fair play in warfare, and as he's talking about it, all you hear is Americans shoot one of his guys standing next to him, and he goes, "Hey, that's a fair play," and he's like, "Now we get 2 turns," and I mean, it's pretty
Oh
hilarious.
yeah.
yeah, I
okay,
remember that.
Good
there's a
time.
little bit of history to that because, again, that's September 11th, 1777. The British officer, Major Ferguson, chooses not to basically snipe out George Washington. Less than a week later, September 19th. So, okay, a little bit more than a week. First Battle of Freeman's Farm, First Battle of Saratoga. Actually, no, it's the second one. It's the second one. Another guy, Simon Fraser, ironically, the same last name. Timothy Murphy puts one right in his guts. Actually, like a little bit lower than his guts, if you know what I mean. From 300 meters away. And they drag him back to Baron von Riedesel's dining room table, and it takes him like 12 more hours to die, but that's got to be a rough way to check out. So yeah, the Americans had no compunction about aiming at brigadier generals. Brigadier General Simon Fraser, leader of Burgoyne's advance corps, Scotsman, and yeah, put one right where a guy doesn't want to get hit. I'll just put
Right
it
in
that
the
way.
nuts.
Yeah, right in the
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
And passed through his bowels, and yeah, it was a bad.
Oh,
Now he's
yeah.
going into septic shock, and it was a.
And it's like a 68 caliber lead ball.
Oh yeah, it was one of those big old civilian muskets or breech loading rifles. That's a big
Yeah.
round, a big slow moving round.
Yeah, that's gotta suck. All right. So in an effort to keep things moving along, we should probably talk about our topic today. It seems like a thing. Not that we haven't enjoyed our chat because, well, let's face it, I'm pretty sure we all think everything that falls out of our mouth is pure gold.
But wait a
Never
minute.
bring up the revolution when the risking's on the chat. You're gonna
Yeah.
get like 20 minutes.
Yep.
But wait a minute.
now-
We didn't have everybody talk about their hobby.
Hey, you had your chance. I don't give
No,
a
no,
shit
no.
now.
Done.
Moving on. No, I don't care.
That's
Moving
true.
on. So
Okay.
she wants to jump in. She
He's
can
on the
jump in.
show, Chris.
I am opening up the topic of the day, which is what's more fun? Collecting, painting, gaming. What do we think it is? What in this case, we'll throw it out there to everyone. What is it to you? What aspect of the hobby do you enjoy the most?
You forgot research.
No,
But we'll get to that when I get to my answer.
You're the
There's a-
only one who does that.
Yeah.
There's that, but there's an ellipsis on there. So ... All right. So what do we think? I will tell you that I very much like the collecting side, painting and building, probably more than the playing side because I don't get to play that much. But I can collect and paint as much as my time allows. You know, and I don't need another partner. I don't need to know the rules. I can just go with whatever I want. So I tend to lean towards that side right now.
What do you mean as much as time allows? You mean as much as your wife allows?
Oh no, she gives me all the time in the world. As long as I stay out of her way and get the bathroom clean later today, I'm fine.
Well,
Well,
for
if I
me,
say, go ahead,
go ahead,
Chris.
Bill. Nope, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, if you go off of past history, it appears that the collecting side has taken a dominance over painting and actually getting an opportunity to play. There's something about you get a new game.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Dawn's
Someone
like,
threw a tunnel.
nope, shut up. Bam!
Damn.
She nuked him. She's like, no, we're not going into this. I don't want you talking about it.
well, he's
Especially
also in the mountains, so
Yeah, well, especially since Dawn's into all the card games. So turns
So
out
we
there's
know
a
where
lot of
she's
fucking there. All right, well, I open it up to the remaining gentlemen on the panel here. What say you? you know, you know, Jim definitely has the research piece in his repertoire. What do
Yeah.
you think? What do you think, Jim? What's
Oh,
what's more fun for
I
you?
I would just I would research slash game design slash content creation. Kind of the all the leftovers. I kind of like go like around um the hobby, but I mean painting is very relaxing. Sometimes I'm building like larger armies 'cause I like to play larger scale games. So there's a lot of chain painting which gets annoying. So maybe that's why I don't enjoy painting so much. I will say this: once in a while, someone will give me, or I'll buy or someone will sell me, or give me, or I'll just buy like one or two miniatures, like a single miniature. That's a lot more fun. But when you have to paint like 40 of the same thing, that's when it gets tedious for me. But
Yep.
that's what happens when you play, larger scale games.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Again, being a Skaven player, which is a swarm army. I mean, I literally have 130 of them right now, and I just bought the new edition of them, so I'm getting another 70.
Oof.
Yeah, yeah, got that going.
3 colors, and Prime is one of them.
Yeah, that's
So,
especially at smaller scales. There's nothing wrong with that.
so we're gonna go with Chris's favorite is not painting.
Yep. I like the collecting. I like the painting. I mean, not the painting, the playing. It also depends on the day. It's like music. What's your favorite music? Well,
Yeah.
some days it's Disturbed because that's where I'm at. Some days it's country. So it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, I like playing. I like collecting, watching the videos and stuff.
Yep. Damon brings up an excellent point here. Favorite part of the hobby, Damon says, taking a piss and shit talking each other when you're sat around the gaming table. 100%. I do like that.
Absolutely.
That is, yeah. Even
We
when
had
I'm
we had a
getting wrecked.
Vietnam game. We had an NVA versus U.S. Marine Corps game in '68 just last week at the club, and my gaming partner, Victor, another fellow Marine from back in the '80s, was just like. I mean, the guy we were playing against was an old friend of his. They've been friends since literally like the mid '80s. They're friends back in high school. So they've known each other 30 years, 30 plus years, 40 years now. So it's definitely one of those. So tactical combat war game, I believe that's Mark is going to know what I'm talking about. They've been friends for going on 40 years, and it's that kind of relationship. Only people have been friends that long. Like if you walked into the club and you didn't know that these guys have been best friends for 40 years, you'd be like, God damn, guys, take it down a notch. It's getting a little tense in here.
Well,
But I'm not going to repeat anything they were saying to each other, but especially Victor towards Jeff was just like, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly what Damon's talking about.
well, so like Chris and I will play a game, and if we are not on the same side, and it doesn't matter how big the game. I mean, we had 6 players at one point in one game. If there is any way for he and I to just square up, we don't care
And-
what the objectives are. We don't.
Yep.
We don't care what
Who won?
Technically, if this is a sound
I'm
decision,
killing this motherfucker.
I just came to kill
There
you.
it is.
I just came to whoop your ass. And I'm like, oh, I got this new guy, so I now have this new capability. I'm just going to go ahead and ram it up your canuter valve.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we had. Like old friends, and they just don't give a shit, man. And then they're like looking at me like, because I'm trying to record a video. I'm like, the audio all gets washed out, guys.
Say
The
whatever you
range is
want.
hot.
Yeah.
The range is hot. Don't censor yourself because I got the camera out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is going to be out in front of how many people? I'm like, dude, there's no audio in this video. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Hey, bad words are used during war. I mean, that's how it works.
Oh yeah.
Bad words are invented during war. What are you talking about?
Yeah, how about it? How about it?
Bad words and let's just say some very un-PC classifications of the other side. Some of the vocabulary.
We'll just go with dark humor. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a dark topic, and if you don't laugh about it, you're going to go insane. So you better do something.
and it's so dark. That's why we try to light them up to help them out.
Yeah.
There you go.
And as it turns out, every army in the world has attempted to, or I don't say attempted to, but dehumanizes their enemy because
It's a required first step. Yeah.
because we are human, and it's way easier for us to have to engage, find, fix, and violently engage and destroy the enemy when the enemy's not a person to you anymore.
Yep. A
So
lot easier to apply that. What do they call it? Like fire maneuver and shock effect.
yep,
When the other person isn't really a person, you have
Yeah.
to do it to stay
Yeah.
to stay sane. And back at the home front, the government has to do it in order to keep the war effort up. Yeah, especially in the age of television and the internet. I mean, look
Yep.
at what's going on in Gaza. The second the enemy becomes human, you start having big problems. So
Well, it's also not good when people are hiding behind the women and children.
Yeah.
no contest there. Yeah.
However,
But
that's
if you're
not.
doing your job, the other person
Yeah.
isn't a person anymore.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah, like Patton said, it may interest you to know, like, where were you hit, son? In the chest, sir. The last German I saw didn't have a chest. Didn't have any head either.
So bringing this back to the gaming table, though, we kind of don't have that same scenario because they're little guys, so they literally aren't human. So now, one, you might not care about the consequences so much. Like when Chris and I are gaming as friends again, literally, if it comes down to there's one of us with one dude standing, we won.
There
Now,
you go.
tactically, operationally, strategically, was that a victory?
Meanwhile, the game master's like, well, I've totaled up the
100%
victory
combat
conditions for both teams, and this objective and that objective, and loss ratios looks like I don't care about all that.
Yeah.
I'm alive and he's dead.
Yeah.
We had our own little game over here.
Yeah, it turns out, I'm looking at you both lost. How did you figure out how to do that? You're only playing each other.
Yeah, we're the first two off the game.
Yeah. Which just means we get to drink it faster. So
Yeah.
It's not such a bad thing. I'm like, oh, let's go get some snacks and watch these guys actually see.
Yeah, and we'll see how the
gonna
game's
win it
really
for
supposed to be
us.
played. Yeah.
Well, in a lot of, especially miniature gaming tables, you got the chess players, then you've got the sledgehammers between the eyes players. I mean,
Yeah, and sometimes
Well, it depends on who
hammer
I'm
and
playing
anvil
against.
and, if you're the
sometimes
if
it
you're the
depends
hammer-
on the scenario too. Like we were talking about how it's like easier to, because it's just either cardboard counters or little plastic army men. This happens at Omaha, my game of Omaha. This happened at Saipan that we just did. The Americans take even worse losses than they took historically. I mean, the bloodbath we had on Omaha was, believe it or not, even worse than historical. But by the end of the day, the Americans had pushed in a lot further than they did historically. Like the Omaha beachhead was only like a couple hundred yards deep in some places. The Americans completely tabled the Germans. They're halfway to San Lo by the end of the episode, but they'd also taken like 50% additional casualties. Same thing happened in Saipan. The Japanese were absolutely tabled in Saipan, whereas historically the beachhead only got 400 yards deep by the end of D-Day. That's 12 feet on a miniature table. That's not much, but it's a lot easier to get aggressive and just push that assault home when it's literally not you trying to, dig a hole in the sand with your eyebrows. When it's Japanese machine gun fires coming at you, you push a lot harder, you take more casualties, but you do get a lot more done.
Yeah. So just to address something that that Tough Years posted, I would I'd like to thank Bill and Don for taking the crown of Tech King.
Well, they've got an excuse.
Tech issues. Just so everyone knows, they are traveling. They're on the road, and their phone overheated and shut down.
Oh, that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Dawn texted me. Notice they're not calling from Dawn's phone though.
Yep.
Maybe they're trying to tell us something. They're like, "Nah, I've had enough of their shenanigans. We
Well,
out."
they're also in the mountains, man.
Yeah. But Devin's got a good point in the comments too. When you start playing campaigns, then your mindset might change a little bit. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Again, I don't know if it would really change if Marty's on the other side.
Yeah. Well, it might not change for you, but it might change for me. Because
Yeah.
turns out if I want to play the long game, maybe I let you have this one.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm just saying, you and
I
I
come
have
back
never
to
played the long game.
but I come back for the next one and I've got a superior force and I just curb stomp your ass then.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It
Although
also
there's
depends on the scenario in play. Like pretty much anything on the Eastern Front or anything in the Pacific, Americans, Marines versus Japanese, or like the battle we're going to do today, Ukrainians versus Russians in Marikiv, Ukraine. It's casualties are irrelevant. These are the objectives.
Yeah.
Last man standing. Whereas like when you're playing Mogadishu, casualty evacuation and securing casualties and successfully, evacuating them off the table is literally half the point. In fact, it's 90% of the
Yeah.
point. Is number one, you hit the Olympic Hotel, you got to get those HVTs out of there alive, or at least most of them. And number two, when your guys start getting hit, no man left behind. For the Americans in that game, that's half the challenge. If your scenario doesn't take that into account, and you go hog wild as the Americans, well, you're going to lose. I mean, you're going to win the battle and you're going to feel good because there's going to be like 100 dead Somalis smoked around you, but you've lost 10 guys, you've lost the game.
Yeah, and you didn't achieve the objectives or the victory conditions. Sure.
But
Absolutely.
there are other scenarios that are just smash mouth. The casualties are irrelevant, especially when you're playing the Russians, the Japanese, the insurgents, and some of these more modern. It doesn't matter.
Devin's on fire. He has another good comment over here. One plan of attack, charge. One defense, attack.
That's true. I've seen it happen.
I
He's
love
got
it.
he's like in bunkers in Saipan. The Marines, I can't quite reach him to assault on this turn. I'm like, that's okay. I want to assault you. I'm like, bro, you're in a bunker. He's like, I don't care.
Not
Just
anymore.
drew the samurai sword and Banzai! And, all right, here we go. We get to showcase the assault rules, and he did a lot of damage too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're up against Marines
Yeah.
with 3 BARs per squad, Winchester shotguns, and flamethrowers. Who's walking away from that get together? You've got a sword.
Yeah, yeah, that's a tough go. I mean, whew.
I
and then,
actually just heard about or recently read up on a battle. When I say read up, the whole Wikipedia thing, the Battle of Ramree Island. So that's where the third party involved comes in and does the damage. The British were attacking Japanese, and the Japanese were trying to retreat through a swamp, and the
Okay.
saltwater crocs got them. 1,000 dead Japanese.
I mean, that's a tough way to go too.
Oh,
I've heard the story, but the name didn't ring a bell. I've vaguely read about that.
I mean,
That happened to the Americans plenty of times too. I mean, it doesn't happen like they describe it in the movie because when does it ever? But everyone's heard the story of USS Indianapolis. That wasn't even the only time that happened. Battle of Seymour Island.
Yep.
A lot of the guys that went down in those destroyers. First of all, you're fighting Japanese battleships, including IJN Yamato, heaviest battleship in the world. Their gun turrets weigh more than your entire ship. No, I'm not kidding about that. And not only do you get sunk in that one-sided engagement, but then the Navy, for various reasons, can pick you up for like 2.5 days. And those sharks it's like it's like Golden Corral, man. They just ring the dinner bell.
Yep.
And a lot of those guys didn't make it out of the water. For not quite the same reason, but yeah, basically the environment or the wildlife in the environment winds up the only victor in that battle.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
kind of like the Aussies with the Great Emu War.
Yeah.
Oh God, here we go. That never gets old.
Told you, I'm just here to talk shit.
Yep. The Battle of Ramree Island is the biggest massacre by the animals. No, by any biggest massacre against man by any animal.
Yeah, that tracks because Indianapolis didn't go over 1,000.
No.
I mean, it might have come close, but it didn't beat 1,000. And Seymour Island wasn't 1,000, at least to the Sharks.
Yeah. Well, I think we've pretty well covered a diverse range of topics here, especially when we're talking about what's more fun, collecting or yeah, we might have wandered a little off there. Not unusual for us.
Not at all.
But we are hitting the 1 hour mark at this time. So I think we're going to wrap it up here, folks. So to everyone
Well,
in the, yeah. So to everyone in the chat, thanks so much for joining us. It was great to have you. It's unfortunate that Jim and, or Jim, Jim, it's unfortunate you couldn't stay on with us, except you're right there. That Bill and Dawn couldn't stay on with us because they had technical issues. Tough ears. Make sure that you write that down in your notebook and give them crap next podcast. Jim and Chris, so thank you guys for joining us. Thank you all for dealing with my shenanigans as I'm running this. I don't have all the cool stuff that Bill does, so I can't play all the sound effects. But all the, yeah. So you're on your own for that one. You'll play the tune in your head if you're familiar with it. If not, tune in next week or next show to see it. You know what I mean? Any final words, guys?
I didn't get my sexy British announcer this time. I'm waiting for. We're back with the SIPREP podcast.
I don't have all the what you call
any of the bells and whistles.
Yeah,
like a Bond girl, and that's joined the chat. I love it.
Yep. So,
you too, Jen.
We thank everyone for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us not only here or wherever you get your favorite podcast, but we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We've got a Discord going. There's lots of places where you can see us. So like, subscribe, share with your nerd friends that might enjoy this type of stuff. And we will see you in the next one.